Hello, my name is Yasmin Euphemia, aka Sugar.
And I'm Beverly, aka UK Fluffy Chick, and we are the founders of Support a Sis-Star Network, where people can have the opportunity to showcase their skills, passions, ventures, with the community. And today we have with us Moira. Hi, Moira.
Hello, Moira.
Hi, ladies. Thank you very much for inviting me.
And thank you for accepting the invitation.
Yeah, we appreciate you being here.
Right, yeah. So, Moira, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Right, yes. I'm Irish by birth, grew in London, married a Jamaican in the early 70s. We had 4 children. I have 10 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren here in the UK. But I split my time between the UK and Jamaica. Long story. I took early retirement with a plan to spend my winters on the North Coast with my foot cocked up under a palm tree, sipping rum and coke, like all widows and divorcees of my age were supposed to, according to the BBC and Channel 4. But God has his own plans. And be aware that you pay for your past sins. And I really was the teenager from hell. So I kind of deserved ending up where I did in Olympic Gardens, Kingston 11, in the middle of a semi-war, ducking bullets for 9 years, 10 years. But in that time, working with the children and the community, with the corner guys, with the dons, to create a level of peace and development within the community.
Okay.
It started with a little sports club for the kids on a piece of waste ground that sits between Tower Hill, Cockburn Pen and Waterhouse, a place called Ranaford.
Is that off of Woodpecker Avenue?
That's on the opposite side.
Okay.
It's on the opposite side and down towards the Bay Farm four-way.
Okay.
Right. And the after-school club grew. We started out in somebody's backyard and then in the outdoor classroom of the the St. Margaret's Human Resource Centre, which was run by the St. Patrick's Foundation. On the same side as Woodpecker, but again further down, opposite Tower Avenue itself. That was in November of 1999-2000. And from the after school club grew summer camp.
Okay.
And our first summer camp brought together over 100 kids from one end of Olympic Way to the other. So it brought together kids from the warring communities, Tower Hill, Cockburn Pen, Bay Farm, Villa, Compound, Mile Road, White Wing, Bell Rock, the whole lot, for the first time in over 30 years outside of school. And I did that by just sort of gathering funds from friends and family and people that I worked with. So started led by the youth in the community.
What was that?
Led by the youth in the community.
Okay. So the summer camp ran for what was it? What, for the summer, during the summer holidays was summer camp?
Yeah, it would run from the
From when school broke up?
First Monday of school break up. There was school breaks up there first Friday of July. So that there was no break, because what I understood and what I saw and experienced was that outside of school, a significant number of the kids didn't get anything. So if there wasn't any kind of school program going on, they got no breakfast, they got no lunch. And God help what some of them were going home to. You know, to me, as a mother, as somebody who's always worked with kids, it just didn't sit easy with me that they would be a week, 2 weeks where there was nothing happening for them. And I also actually saw it listening to the kids, listening particularly to the women, that it was a way of bringing around a level of peace within the community that only kind of seemed to exist during the day, and even some days not. You know, again, it was kind of a way of helping them stay safe. Trained all the teaching assistants. They were, again, young people from the community. They were youngsters who were playing in the local marching band and who met at the same place where we were situated on St. Paul's. And that worked incredibly well. And it gave them a sense of pride, and it gave them a sense of achievement. Particularly one young man, Damon. On the first day of summer school, I saw him come into the class where I had the babies, because we ended up with youngsters 2 and 3 years old, because the older ones were in summer school and mum and grandma, whoever, was out getting ready for back to school for September morning. Yeah. So he, as I say, saw him slide in at the side of the class and sit beside one of the kids, and kind of see him smile. For the first time in the 2 years I knew him, I saw a real, genuine smile. You know, that one that sort of comes from really deep inside, that says, I'm happy, I'm content. You know that smile, don't you?
Yes.
And he was just singing along with the kids. So I called him into the office lunchtime and I said, well, look, can you do me a favor? Can you watch the babies for me? Can you run the baby class for me while I'm out on the road getting food and resources? And he's going to be, oh, but Mikiari, you know, I said, Mikiari. And I said, well, look, just sing them their ABCs, sing them their 1, 2, 3s, kick 2 balls with them, just play 2 games, keep them happy. And he agreed to do it. Now, he was a youth that dressed typical inner city, with one leg up, one leg down in his pants, the waist hanging halfway down his bum, and the string vest, you know. So the following day, he turned up in his usual attire. And he met with me after school, bought me a nice ice cold red stripe, and we sat in the office chatting. And his smile this time just was on a different level. It literally lit up the whole room. And he said that he, you know, he knew what he was, he just said, thank you for the day. He said, and he knows what he's going to do tomorrow. Now, when he turned up tomorrow, the Wednesday, he was in black church pants, yes, black church shoes, shirt on with a white marina on underneath. So I just looked and I smiled really wide at him, and he's, oh, I'm Miss Moira. I said, well, I'm just enjoying the look. He said, so what? You never say me as a teacher? So me not for be one, me not for dress like one. It was just incredible, you know. And at the end of summer camp, when he got his certificate and his picture with him in his little class, you know, he just hugged me up and he's gone, you don't know, he says, different feeling. He said, them don't frighten me. Them love me and them respect me. But please, sir, you know? And he just says, John, I say it's different. And he was with us for another 2 summer schools.
And he
Yeah.
found a purpose, so you gave him a purpose, and he obviously felt the passion for it, to make that effort, and that's what we do with the youth nowadays, isn't it? That we need to actually give them something. I'm going to use the word hook. That's not the right word, but like to motivate and
Absolutely.
engage them.
Absolutely. We see, I've always kind of, because I've worked with youth most of my life as volunteer, I've always kind of found the troublemaker and give them a sense of responsibility and make them responsible for certain things. That they're to keep order, they're to keep time, they're there to look after a certain something, and just big them up when they've done it. And it just changes youth. When people have a little faith, will take a chance on them, it can change their whole perception of themselves.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, that's been my experience.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's wonderful. So we can see where you're at, that you created this after school club. You obviously realized that there was a need for it, and you've been clever, you've been strategic to make sure that you had people from all 4 corners, so that they're
absolutely. Well, there was a bit more than 4 corners.
that they discovered that they're all human beings. They had the opportunity to actually meet each other and everything. So where are you at now?
We ended up with a prison education program that was, again, run by youth from the community. And in 2008, end of 2007, 2008, started residential care.
Okay.
Again, it wasn't planned, and it just wasn't planned. I'd gone back to Jamaica in the November of 2007 and found that 2 of our seniors hadn't turned up to the feeding program. So I went to go and look for him. I went off to the Hilton to see my friend at the manager, and got rollaway beds and sheets and everything we needed to take care of him. And put him in the back bedroom of the house that I'd rented off Hagley Park Road. And having given space to elders that needed care and protection, I couldn't close my eyes to children.
So then, was this your personal residence that you rented?
Yeah.
For yourself, that you were now taking people in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I took Mr. Scotty and Mr. Fudgy in and put them in the back bedroom. I was in the side bedroom. Well, there was a sibling group in the community that the Child Protection Services Agency wanted to remove. So the then head of the agency contacted me and said, well, look, if you can get the children out safely for me, we'll sort them out from there. Well, actually, those 3 are still with me from then till now. So I moved them and then another one of their siblings into my bedroom, and I moved into the living room. And then I kind of needed a helper to help take care of everything, because I couldn't be in the community taking care particularly of Scotty, who was very ill at that point, and kids, because I had an 18-month-old, a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 12-year-old at that point.
Oh gosh, you had the house.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, I'm used to a big family. I come from a family of 8 Irish Catholics. Say no more.
Okay, say no more.
Say no more. And from there was helped to rent a bigger house up in Constant Spring Garden. I could go and take the girls out and get them to safety.
So where do you take them from? Their like their home that they're living?
I would meet with them. Yeah, I would meet with their family. You know, it would usually be their mum would bring them out to wherever we had arranged. We moved from there up into St. Catherine, lovely big 7-bedroom place with 2.5 acres, gorgeous, more than we could afford, but you know, God, oh God, and He makes things happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most we had up there were 12 kids and 2 mums in refuge with 2 more kids each. So, you know, we've varied up and down in size. In 2012, Digicel gave us a grant of 6 million Jamaican to go and look for a property. So I did.
Was this property to buy, or they're just going to be
It was
funded
to
along?
either buy or to get on a long-term lease.
Okay.
And see, God works in strange ways. Just as the time was coming up to when you have to claim the grant by having the property put in your offer in, etc. I broke my foot.
Oh, gosh.
Well, totally mashed it up, and spent 2 months in KPH. And while in KPH, saw the Telfer property and just fell in love with it. But it was almost double my budget. That was the beginning of 2013.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
By August of 2014, it was down from 13 million to 7.5. And I'm thinking, well, I must can borrow 1.5 from somebody. So I went to see the house. And when I stepped up onto the veranda, the whole place just wrapped itself around me and said, welcome home.
Okay,
and this property was 1/2 acre with a 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom house with a 2-bedroom cottage attached. And when Mrs. Telfer is showing me around and I'm watching her shrink in front of me, because she can feel my spirit really wants this house. And it's not that I couldn't have filled every room, but it wasn't necessary. So I said to her, well, if I let you stay in the cottage for life, can we please get the cottage? Can we please get the property for 6 million? And so said, so done. And we looked after her until the end too, you know, and that was great. And that's where we are now. So we're on the property that we call the Oasis. Mm-hmm. And at the Oasis, I currently have 2 teens under 18 and 3 young women over 18. And 2 of the young women over 18 have severe intellectual disabilities and will always need supervision to remain safe. So when my teens have turned 18, you know, it's kind of like time for them to move on. Mm-hmm. Well, there's a very, very restricted transitioning program for kids leaving state care, but usually only those who are in tertiary education will get support. So what I did was to rent a house a couple of doors up on the same road, and I've moved. Plans that we have for the future is that as our 2 lads under 18 move up and transition into the transitioning unit, their rooms will be refurbished and the bathrooms made fully accessible. So again, we can make this a forever home for young women like our Abby who have significant learning and intellectual disabilities, but who can function under supervision. Yeah. She loves to grow things They both do, actually. They both love the garden. So we have vegetables in containers because we're by the sea and nothing tends to grow in the sand too tough. And we plan by the end of the year to raise enough to put on a hydroponics shade house where they can grow cash crops like the specialty lettuces, peppers, so that they have the dignity of earning their own money. And they don't have to give anybody anything. In addition to that, as with all the kids, I've taught them basic skills. I mean, YouTube is a great tutor.
Oh, yes, the school of YouTube.
I mean, with YouTube, we've done our own plumbing. With YouTube, we've tiled our own floors. With YouTube, you can do just about anything with YouTube. And with YouTube, taught her how to cover the dining room chairs, not just in material, but in the clear plastic too. And that sense of achievement, did it, a sense of pride. And when any of the other kids are sitting in a chair, mind you miss my chair,
So you basically want to make this a forever home for someone like her. So how do you get more client, more children in if you've got?
It's not going to be a problem in getting them in. The problem is going to be in, because the only place for adults 18 plus with a learning disability, with any kind of disabilities, is Mustard Seed Communities up in Monique, Jacob's Ladder. And their place is fabulous, but they've got a waiting list from their own homes. They've got 13 homes across the island, all with physically and intellectually disabled young people. So, and that would be the only place that I would trust a child of mine to. Understand? Where I know they would be treated as a human being with love and compassion and care. And so sitting down and talking with the other trustees and researching, decided, well, we just have to open our own. It's as simple as that. If we're to have a safe place for Abby to be there after I'm gone and our current carers are gone, there's, what is there for her? So we decided we would start with the first one, make it self-sustainable and show people it can be done and that these youngsters can have a productive, ordinary, safe life in their communities. They don't have to be shut away in places. They don't have to be divided on the street. They can have dignity and they can have a safe place.
That's usually the way they tend to cope with these kind of things, like out of sight, out of mind, because it's
Jamaica's not the kindest place to people with any kind of disability. And for those with intellectual disabilities and mental health problems, God help them. Because few people in Jamaica will. The attitude is totally rank.
But it's the same attitude that we had here in the 50s and 60s.
So this is what I always say. We're kind of like 50 years behind in the care system, in recognizing certain health issues. I say that and acknowledge that. Every day I acknowledge that. But I'm still going to work towards making what I can possible with what I've got and what I can raise. But you just do what you've got to do, and just hope it doesn't cause a problem for other people.
So Moira, can I ask you something? I'm gonna just say what people might be thinking. How was the reception when you first went down there and decided this is what you're gonna do? how was the reception as a non-Jamaican?
Well, I was actually received quite well because of several things. Because of mine, you've got to understand in Jamaica, the three most respected people in Jamaica are pastors, politicians, and performers. Yeah. So because I was involved within the music industry, and I knew significant numbers of the reggae artists from having helped them get their publishing back and all this sort of thing over the years. I kind of had a reputation that went before me. And it was just, oh, all right. And then I think there was just the assumption that you've either got to be attached to somebody big or attached to somebody bad or totally insane to be there doing what you're doing. And in any one of those three scenarios, they're just going to leave you alone. What my dealings with the Don men, the corner men, what I do know is 99.9% of them went to church with grandma and Sunday school. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is the person I speak to. I don't speak to your bad reputation. I'm going to speak to the young man that went to church with grandma. And you know what? 99% of the time, that's exactly who I got back. That was the response back from them. Respect for respect, you know?
Okay.
I don't think I ever knowingly disrespected anybody except when I moved the little girls from under the big men. But other than that, I don't think I've ever knowingly disrespected anybody down there.
Okay. What do they call you, Miss Moira?
Miss Moira. Myra is how they pronounce it, Miss Moira. You know, so all the kids have a list when they say it, Miss Moira.
So do you have a name for your what's it, your program that you run? What is the name for it?
The home is Iris Lodge, and we've named it Iris Lodge after a young girl that we worked with in the community back in the early 2000s. At 19, she already had 3 children because the guys in the community used her as a community mattress because she had a learning disability and nobody defended her. I mean, that's the long and short of it. I know it sounds cold, but I say that's what happened during the day. So that during the day, she wasn't home alone and she wasn't therefore susceptible to the abuse. And that was fine for about 18 months or so. And then she got pregnant again and the abortion was botched and she died of hemorrhaging. She hemorrhaged to death. So when Abby came into my care, I was determined nothing like that could ever happen to her. She's already been under abuse before she's been anywhere near us, to the level where she was an elected mute. There was no way I was going to allow any further abuse to happen to her, not while I lived and breathed anyway. So I suppose it was always on the card when the other kids finished growing up that, we were always going to have to find a safe space for Abby. So the house is now known as the Iris Lodge. The property is still the Oasis. And then on the front, we aim eventually to put on board cabins to rent out, like Airbnb, but for volunteers coming to Jamaica, school groups, church groups, coming to Jamaica to get the Jamaican experience and to volunteer to do some service somewhere on the island while they're there.
So we know what you're working towards. So we're saying 5-10 years time, you'd you'd have a sustainable home where the people in there would actually be looking after themselves to a certain extent.
You know, round where I am, round by Pondside, I don't know if it's still there, but there was that eco tourism facility round the lane there, where someone was
that Sleep 16.
The
big one that Sleeps 16 and has its own little private beach thing.
Yeah, it might be down by Hill. Yeah, is that still there?
I think it's called Calvella or something. Yeah, there was a group of volunteers that came from this church in Toronto a couple of years back, and they rented that and would walk around and do their work with us the following day.
Right, so this is like at the back of the pond.
Right at the back, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, for those who do not know where we're talking about, we're in Jamaica. We're talking about Yallis and St. Thomas in Jamaica. For those who don't know where we're talking about. So for those who are in Yallis, you're at the moment, it's at Telford, down by Telford Lane. Right? Yeah.
Can I give you an interesting fact on Telford Yard, as it's known by the locals? The Telfers never had any children of their own, but they grew generations of other people's children in that house.
Okay. So it's like that's
me home. You know? It knew what it was doing.
So do you have I suppose I'm asking a silly question really. How do people, like if somebody wanted to contribute towards the housing or something, how would they do that?
We are currently, the website is in the process, but it is up. There is a GoFundMe that I think goes live this week to help raise funds for the hydroponics farm. Also, I have started writing books, telling the journey, sharing pictures, and the events, the funny ones, the not so funny ones, the scary ones.
What is the name of the book?
The book is called From Garrison to Garden, Volume 1, Boots on the Ground.
Okay.
So that kind of takes in more what I was telling you today from the very beginning where we started. It gives a little political history, so it kind of puts into context.
In context, yeah.
People. And then it's got sort of like a listing of the prime ministers from independence to now. And then it tells how I got started and why. I just got captured by a bunch of kids who took my heart away.
Okay. Moira, thanks again for joining us and sharing what you're doing is amazing. You know, it's a hole that needs to be filled, and glad that you've taken on the mantle to do that. And I'm sure they appreciate that out there, what you're doing, and keep up the good work, and hope everything goes just the way you need it to go as you're doing it.
Bless you, darling. Thank you very much.
And it was really lovely to meet you. Look at it. Serendipity made us actually be able to meet.
I'm so into serendipity.
Yeah.
I really am.
Yeah.
Well, I really love what you're doing. You've inspired me, and I'm hoping that there's lots of people out there that will be watching this and go towards helping and supporting you, because it's a very good cause that you're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much.
Definitely.
Can I just say that our chat this evening has really kind of lifted the spirit at what is sometimes, Monday's not always the best day of the week.
Yeah. But we try to see, the reason why it ends up being on Monday evenings that we do the interviews, people, is because, everyone suffers from a Mondayitis. And it's a way of, like you said, lifting the spirits, talking it out, supporting your sister, Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's what it's all about, man. Each one lift one, and we rise for others to rise up to.
Thank you. And we have to turn and help out the next sister behind us.
That's right. All right, then. So that's a wrap for us this evening. And so if you enjoy the content, keep liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, spread the word, make everybody know the Supporter Sister is here. And and if you want to join us as a guest, just email Supporter Sister. I said, Supporter Sister. No, Sis-Star.network. Oh, Jesus, I'm sending wrong email address. You're going to send it to Mars.
It's all right. We'll sort it out.
Sis-Star.network@gmail.com. Just email us with a request. We'll book you in, have a little chat, and showcase to the rest of the community. All right? And that's it. It's officially a wrap.
Oh, lovely. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you very